Welcome to Bollywood Deep Dive from IndiaReview.com, your daily Bollywood news. Let's get into it. And let's start with what feels like the biggest story of the week, one that has really spilled over from the political world right into our film industry's conversations. Absolutely. The resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan, the Union Education Minister, following the massive student protests. It's been impossible to ignore, and for once, a lot of Bollywood isn't ignoring it either. That's the key part. Usually there's a certain calculated silence, but this time the floodgates opened a little. We saw posts from Alia Bhatt, Varun Dhawan, Vicky Kaushal, Priyanka Chopra, Dia Mirza, Sonakshi Sinha, all of them praising the students, calling it a victory for democracy. It felt significant. Sonakshi Sinha's post was particularly direct, framing the resignation as a direct result of the students' unity. And Alia's mother, Soni Razdan, also penned a very thoughtful note about how we can acknowledge progress in the country and still demand accountability. I thought that was a really well-put sentiment. It is. It's not about being against everything. It's about demanding that things work correctly. We also saw Prakash Raj, who is never one to mince words, celebrating the news in his own unique style. "Congratulations, dear cockroaches," I believe was the quote. Yes, that was it. He has a way with words, but in the middle of all this support, the silence from other major names also becomes very loud, doesn't it? It does. There were headlines pointing out that Shah Rukh Khan was spotted on a family vacation in London, which is lovely for him, but the timing of those photos surfacing made the contrast very stark. And then you have Aamir Khan's daughter, Ira Khan, who addressed her silence head-on. She's been very vocal about mental health advocacy, so people were asking why she hadn't spoken on this. Her response was interesting. She posted a video saying she doesn't really look at the news and hasn't had feelings about it. She was honest about it, which is something, I suppose. It's a complicated position. On one hand, you can't force someone to have an opinion. On the other, when you have a platform, "I don't follow the news" can sound a bit privileged, especially when the news is about students fighting for their future. It's a tough line to walk. It really is. And you had Raghav Juyal getting into a heated exchange with a journalist about it, basically saying he had posted on Instagram and the journalist should have done their homework. It just shows how tense this topic is and how everyone is expected to have a public stance. Which is a whole other debate. Do we need every single actor to weigh in on every single issue? Or is it more powerful when those who genuinely feel compelled to speak do so? I lean towards the latter. Forced statements are just PR. Genuine support, like what we saw from many this week, feels more impactful. It felt like a small but important shift in the industry's engagement with real-world issues. Agreed. It's a moment where you see the line between celebrity and citizen blur a little, and that's always fascinating to watch. All right, from the streets of Jantar Mantar to the ticket counters at the box office, let's talk numbers, because there are some big ones this week. Oh, let's. And where else to begin but with Thalapathy Vijay's final film, Jana Nayagan. This has been a roller coaster. A roller coaster is the perfect word. It had a massive opening, as everyone expected. But then, on day 2, it saw a brutal 50% drop. A 50% drop. That's steep. For any film, that's a worrying sign. But here's the wild part. Even with that drop, it has already become Kollywood's second highest grossing film of 2026 in India. That just speaks to the sheer power of that opening day. The fan frenzy was real. But it also suggests that maybe the word of mouth isn't as strong as the initial hype. The reviews were a bit mixed. Some called it an overstuffed crowd pleaser, which feels like a polite way of saying it tried to do too much. It was positioned as his grand farewell to cinema before entering politics, so the pressure was immense. You can feel that in the reviews. The Indian Express said the film unravels under the pressure of being Vijay's last film. It's a classic case of the narrative around the film becoming bigger than the film itself. And you can contrast that trajectory with the steady-as-she-goes success of Dhamal 4. Oh, completely different story. 16 days in, and it has sailed past 166 crores in India. No massive drops, just consistent collections. It's the power of the family-friendly ensemble comedy. Javed Jaffrey was just talking about this, about why Bollywood is going back to these ensemble casts. It's because it works. You bring in families, you bring in groups of friends, and you just chug along at the box office. It's reliable. It doesn't have the stratospheric opening of a Vijay film, but it has legs. People know what they're getting, and they're happy with it. And speaking of success, let's go overseas. Samantha Ruth Prabhu's Ma Enti Bangaram has finished its run in North America. And how did it do? It ended as Tollywood's most profitable film of 2026, with 108% returns. A huge, unqualified success. It's so wonderful to see a female-led film just quietly dominate like that. No fuss, just fantastic results.
That is fantastic news. We also have Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey doing gangbusters in India. On its 8th day, it's already surpassed the lifetime collections of films like Spider-Man: Far From Home. India loves Nolan. It's a proven fact. An event film is an event film, whether it comes from Hollywood or Bollywood. Which brings us to a much smaller story, the other end of the spectrum. The India Story, starring Kajal Agrawal and Shreyas Talpade, opened to just 16 lakhs.
Oof, 16 lakhs. That's tough. It's about pesticide use, a serious topic, but it's another reminder of how incredibly difficult it is for smaller, issue-based films to get any traction in theaters right now. It really is. The audience seems to be going for either the massive event films or the lighthearted comedies, and anything in the middle is getting squeezed out. Well, this all lines up with the bigger picture. PVR INOX just released their first quarter results. And they were good. A profit of 56.5 crores compared to a loss last year. Revenue is up over 10%. It shows that people are coming back to the cinemas. The box office is surging. They're just being very, very selective about what they'll pay to see on the big screen. The bar is higher than ever. Exactly. You have to be an event. You have to be a spectacle. Which, speaking of spectacles, is the perfect segue to the biggest spectacle of them all. Don't say it. Don't even say the name. Ramayana. Of course, the hype train that has left the station, circled the globe, and is now heading for orbit. The team was at San Diego Comic-Con. Ranbir Kapoor, Yash, director Nitesh Tiwari, producer Namit Malhotra, they were all there, posing for pictures. This is a statement of global ambition. It is. This isn't just a film for the Indian market. They are aiming for the whole world. And the number being thrown around for the marketing budget is just staggering. $40 million US. $40 million for marketing, not the film's budget, the marketing budget. I don't even know what to do with that number.
You could probably fund about 250 films like The India Story with that marketing budget.
Stop it. That's too real. It's just a mind-boggling scale. And after all that, after the big Comic-Con appearance, what happened with the trailer that was supposed to drop? It was postponed. The ultimate anticlimax. All this build-up, the global stage, and then, sorry, not today. You have to admire the nerve. It almost creates more buzz, doesn't it? The mystery of it all. Why was it pulled? What are they changing? The speculation machine is now in overdrive.
It's a masterclass in keeping your project in the headlines, I'll give them that. They're playing the long game with this one.
A very, very long and very, very expensive game.
From a future blockbuster to a blockbuster of the past. Let's turn back the clock a little. It's been 12 years since the release of Kick.
12 years? And what a phenomenon that film was. I was reading some of the anecdotes that have come out for the anniversary, and they are just delightful.
The one about the animation for the devil character was my favorite. They apparently studied Salman Khan's childhood pictures to copy his specific comic nuances and expressions. That's such a specific, brilliant detail. It is. And then there's the Randeep Hooda story. It took him 27 takes to get his first shot right. 27! But after that, he apparently didn't need a single retake for the rest of the film. That's the definition of getting into character. You struggle, you find it, and then you lock in. It's a great story.
And you can't talk about Kick without talking about the villain, Nawazuddin Siddiqui's Shiv Gajra. That sinister laugh is iconic. He revealed that the inspiration for it was a person he knew from his theater days who had this really peculiar, unnerving laugh.
It's one of the great modern villain performances. It was so fresh and unexpected at the time. He completely stole every scene he was in.
He really did. It was just a perfect storm of a film. The action, the comedy, the music, and a villain for the ages. It holds up.
Speaking of things that maybe don't hold up quite as well by modern standards, there was a fascinating retrospective piece about Sridevi and NTR.
Oh, I saw this one. It's a product of its time. The headline was that Sridevi, at age 9, played NTR's granddaughter in a film.
And then just 7 years later, at age 16, she was his romantic lead in a rain-soaked song sequence, while he was 56 years old.
Yikes! The 40-year age gap is one thing, but the fact that she had literally played his grandchild a few years prior it's a lot to process.
It really is. The article points out that they had this incredible box office record together with 4 highest grosser of the year hits. The public clearly had no issue with it. It just highlights how much the industry norms and audience perceptions have shifted over the decades. Or how much we hope they've shifted. It's a stark reminder of the power dynamics in casting practices that were just accepted as normal for so long. And while we're in the flashback zone, we can't ignore the evergreen story of Amitabh Bachchan's accident on the set of Coolie, an absolute cornerstone of Bollywood lore. A new article revisited Jaya Bachchan's account of that time.
The moment when he was declared clinically dead, and she was the only one in the room who saw his big toe move. And she said, "I saw his toe move and I knew he was alive." It gives you goosebumps every single time. It feels less like a real event and more like a scene from a Manmohan Desai film. The sheer drama of it is unbelievable. It is. And the detail that at the exact same moment in the hospital, another man in a different room passed away. It's just one of those stories that has taken on a life of its own. It's part of the fabric of the industry's history. Absolutely. From one legend to another, let's talk about Salman Khan again, but in a very 2026 context. Ah yes, the online criticism and the swift, shirtless response. It's a tale as old as Instagram. The actor faces some trolling about his physique, and within days, boom, a shirtless photo from the gym appears on his feed with a defiant caption. It's the celebrity circle of life. It's a very direct way of shutting down critics, I suppose. Just a casual, "Oh, you think I'm not in shape? Here, look at this." It also just underscores the immense pressure these stars are under. Even someone as established as Salman Khan. Every photo is scrutinized, every public appearance is judged. That has to be exhausting, no question. And it's not just about looks. We're also seeing the fallout from older controversies. Manoj Muntashir, the writer for Aati Purush, has come out with a pretty strong statement. What did he say? He called his work on that film the biggest mistake of his life and said he was deeply ashamed of the controversy it caused. Wow, that's a pretty definitive apology. It's a bit late perhaps, but it's a strong mea culpa. That film's dialogue controversy really did a lot of damage, so it's interesting to see him still addressing it so directly. I think he has to. It became a cultural touchstone for what not to do. It will likely follow him for the rest of his career, so getting ahead of it with an apology is probably the only move he has. Fair enough. On a more positive note, let's talk about some good being done. Bhumi Pednekar has been using her platform to raise awareness for the floods in Assam. Yes, with over 7 lakh people affected, it's a terrible situation. She posted an appeal calling it heartbreaking and urging people to come forward and support the relief efforts. It's always good to see celebrities using their incredible reach for causes like this. It genuinely makes a difference in getting the word out. And from activism to television mainstays, Amitabh Bachchan is heading back to the hot seat. Kaun Banega Karodpati. Season 18 is about to start shooting.
Yes, he starts filming on August 1st, and the new season premieres on August 10th. It's like a comforting annual tradition at this point.
It really is. The sound of his voice asking, "Lau kiya jaye," is part of the national consciousness. It's amazing how enduring that show has been.
And from one veteran to another, a piece on Helen caught my eye. She was talking about her costumes and accessories from back in the day.
Oh, the queen of style. What did she say?
She revealed she used to travel all the way to Paris just to source real feathers for her outfits, and that her giant goggles, her jewelry, everything was handpicked by her to stay ahead of the curve.
I believe it. She was a trendsetter in every sense of the word. A true fashion icon who curated her own image long before the era of celebrity stylists. What a legend.
She really is. And just a few other quick hits from around the industry. There are rumors swirling that Katrina Kaif might be joining Prabhas's film Spirit, now that Deepika Padukone has apparently exited.
Ooh, that's a big casting shuffle if it's true. Sandeep Reddy Vanga's next film after Animal is going to have a lot of eyes on it. So who they cast as the lead is a huge deal.
Absolutely. And Rashmika Mandanna gave a lovely interview where she said that not fitting into any specific mold is what made her journey special. She sees her individuality as a strength.
That's a great message. And in that same vein, Archana Puran Singh was reflecting on her iconic Miss Braganza character from Kuch Kuch Hota Hai.
What about her?
She said she feels like she's finally left Miss Braganza behind her, but also acknowledged that she has never done another character that managed to overshadow it. It's the blessing and curse of creating a role that becomes so legendary.
It truly is. She will always be Miss Braganza to an entire generation.
Always. You know, it's been a week of big news, big numbers, and big apologies. From student protests shaking up the establishment to a $40 million marketing campaign for a single film.
It perfectly captures the industry, doesn't it? One foot is in the real, messy, complicated world, and the other is in a world of pure, larger-than-life spectacle.
And we're here for all of it.
The sublime and the slightly ridiculous. That's our job.
Indeed it is.
Headlines say heartbeats tuck. You've been listening to Bollywood Deep Dive from IndiaReview.com. Come back tomorrow. Namaste.